My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review of Hostel, and this review will have spoilers, so that's your warning. But this is one of those movies I've heard lots of people talk about, but I knew almost nothing about it when I started it. The only knowledge I had was that people compare it to Saw, and that's it. So consider me pleasantly surprised when I think this is legitimately a great movie, and I was surprised at how great this movie is. It's made up of two very distinct halves, where the first half sets up these characters and the story, and it's filled with drugs and sex and nudity. But then you get the second half, well, that's when the horror kicks in and it's just relentless. And I think both halves do their job well. The first half can drag every now and again, but it introduces these characters and it just showcases how artificial and how hollow of a life they live. There's one brilliant moment where they enter their room and these two very attractive women are naked and they are getting dressed, and then they're like, "Oh, we're going to the spa. You should join us." And you can tell that these three characters are in heaven. But in the second half of the movie, one of the characters has to get a new hotel room and he walks in and it's almost exactly the same with these two girls getting dressed and they're like, "We're going to the spa, you should join us." And you can just see the realization that they've been baited and that their lifestyles are artificial and hollow, and it really allows it to get under your skin. And I also like how this movie kind of pulls a cycle. Well, the first half, you feel like this one character who isn't as into this lifestyle as his buddies is, and like you feel like this will be the main character of the movie, but then the second half he gets killed early on and it focuses on someone else entirely for the rest of the movie. And I really like that bait and switch. Really well done. And yes, this movie is very gruesome. Like, this movie is violent, it is disturbing, and it does a great job with all of that. The practical effects look amazing in this movie, and like some of it's just hard to take in. There is one scene specifically that just affected me to my core. It's a scene with this girl getting her face torched off and her eyeballs just hanging there, and the one guy has to cut it off, and I could barely watch. Like, it, oh my goodness, just so gross. But what I also really like about this movie is that there's a great psychological aspect to it about the kind of evil person you would have to be to do something like this, and how it could be anyone. It could be this guy on a train that you feel bad for offending, and it could turn out he's actually a monster. Or it could be these two girls who you think are just being nice and friendly, but they're actually evil. And I think it taps into a feel of when you go to a foreign country and you don't speak the language, you don't know the environment, and you just feel out of place. And I think it does all of that very incredibly well. It also shows how even if you survive this kind of torture, how you just don't move on from it. And that scene with the girl at the end and the train is just, it's just sad. Like, the second half of this movie, as violent as it is, it's just very sad. And I think it nails the emotion it needs to. On top of all of that, I think this movie also has some really great dark humor. There are some moments where I laughed. My favorite being when he sees the one girl as he's driving and he hits her, and then the car chasing him just finishes the job. I know it sounds. The dark humor does really work for me. So kudos to Eli Roth. Like, I haven't seen too much of his filmography, but he really nails this movie. Like, the tone, absolutely perfect. And I also love the look and the feel of this movie. It has plenty of atmosphere, and there is some really tense moments in the second half. So kudos to him. Then you've also got yourself a bunch of great performances. Jay Hernandez, he plays El Diablo in Suicide Squad, but this performance is legitimately great. He does everything he needs to so incredibly well. He sells you on the whole, he sells you on the emotion of this character, and I was really impressed. Then you've got Derek Richardson, who I also thought did a good job. Isa Gudjonson, I thought was good. John Vasek, he plays a businessman who we see again in the movie, and I thought he was great. Jana Kadrabakvava and Braba Nidlajevkova play the two girls. They do a very good job as well. And Rick Hoffman, okay. I've never seen anything in his filmography before besides The Day After Tomorrow and Smiley Face, but the guy looks so familiar. Like, I know my family watched Suits a lot years ago when I still lived at my parents', and maybe that's where I recognize him, but he just has a very memorable face. But I thought he was great in his two scenes in this movie. And I think the movie ends in a very satisfying manner. But I also heard about the other ending. Well, the main character kidnaps the businessman's daughter. And I don't know if I would have liked that ending better or the one we got. Like, they're both great, but I can't decide. But yeah, this movie kicks ass. Like, I'm surprised at how much I loved it. It is disturbing on a visceral and a psychological level. The movie is filled with great performances. It's very well directed. I really loved this movie. It does drag a bit in the first half, so maybe they could have tightened it up by like 10 minutes, but I'm still giving Hostel an 8 out of 10. Okay, have you seen Hostel? What did you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for more videos soon, and Gavin out.